everybody, and Happy New Year. Welcome to Pub Table Racers show number 1 of 2022. My name's Tim Packman. My co-host and great friend is
Warren Rosell.
How you been?
Great.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
How was your New Year's?
It was good.
Yeah.
It's good. Just level.
Level?
You know, when you're our age, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I had plenty of excitement.
That's good. That's right. We had a good couple days beforehand. Went and had a little racers luncheon.
Yeah.
Tim Clements and talked a lot of stuff. We solved the world's and the racing's problems.
That's always fun. We do
That's
it.
good. Well, Happy New Year to all you. Why do we have a bucket of beer?
We have a bucket of beer in front of us because we're going to sit around. We're going to talk to racing and race cars, and we're going to drink beer while we do it.
Perfect, because we are Pub Table Racers and Miller High Life for our good friend Bobby Allison. So Happy New Year to you, and New Year to you, and New Year to you.
New Year.
All right. Just so you know, we're going to try something different, everybody. If you're tuning in, we're going to start taking your questions and comments about 8:30. So if we don't acknowledge them or we ignore you, that's just 8:30. We're going to start. And our guest tonight is Luke Lambert, NASCAR crew chief, and he's got some brand new, fresh, not even 12 hours long news to share. Hot off the presses, as they say. We'd like to thank our. We're coming to you live tonight from the unsponsored studio.
Yeah.
Very sad. If you want to be part of this show as a sponsor, let us know. It's very affordable, and we have people that watch this, and we need it because, one, we want to be a sponsored thing, be cool like all the cool kids, and beer isn't free.
It's a little beer money for us.
A little beer money. That's about it. No one's getting rich a living off this. Well, sometimes.
Not yet.
Not
We're
yet.
trying.
But we'd like to thank. What do you got behind you, there, buddy?
I got racingjunk.com.
What happens there?
Anything you need, any of your racing or hot rod or snowmobile or motorcycle or any motorsports need.
Anything with a motor, they have it for you.
They'll have parts and pieces for it.
Everything.
New, used, whatever.
We'd like to thank the Garage Shop as well. A lot of great videos going on there on the YouTube channel. Check them out. And check our YouTube channel too. And also, if you want some of this great merchandise. Warren has a t-shirt on.
Oh. I'm like,
because you got your Christmas clothes. Like, damn, I didn't
got something behind me.
I didn't get anything I wanted. I want a
You
Pub
want
Table
somebody-
Racers t-shirt.
anybody can buy it.
Anybody can buy a beer, but you can only buy Pub Table Racers merchandise, hats, t-shirts, and tumblers. One place, pubtableracers.com. I think a few of you did get presents either for yourself or someone else. But you know what? The good news is we have lots left. So racing season's coming. That's all we have there. On our website, pubtableracers.com. You know what? There's not a whole lot of news to talk about, so let's just jump right into it. Our guest tonight, we are very honored and very happy to have this guy on. Start the off. He is Luke Lambert. He's been a crew chief in NASCAR in the Cup Series for 10 years. He has 26 top 5s, 86 top 10s, 1 win, second in points in 2014. We'll talk about that. And also on the Xfinity side, he was there 1 year, 4 wins, second in points there. He has been a crew chief for Jeff Burton, Ryan Newman, Daniel Emmerich, Chris Buescher, and another guy. And he has 3 kids, beautiful wife. And today, we're going to bring him up because he has an announcement to share with us.
Come on in.
Crowd goes wild.
All right,
you guys come down.
Thank you. Pull up.
Scoot right in here.
Had a great opportunity to work with you at RCR, and we welcome you.
Could we offer you a beverage?
Yes, please.
Okay, you got to crack one?
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy New Year. Welcome to.
Cheers. Good to see you.
So, before we get started, congratulations. A new announcement today, a new job.
Yeah.
You are now the crew chief for Noah Gregson at Junior Motorsports, the number 9 Chevrolet in the Xfinity Series. Congrats. That's awesome.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Good for you.
So how did because you've been on the Cup side for like 10 years, so you had success in the Xfinity Series before, and so now Xfinity and Junior Motorsports, great place to be.
Yeah. So at the end of the season last year, the things had kind of gotten to a different spot at Roush where I had some decisions to make as to whether I want to stay there or try to pursue other opportunities, and really kind of try to decide what made sense for me right now. A lot of good things came my way, but this one really caught my eye. I feel like Junior Motorsports has a lot of good things and a lot of good things in place. They've shown a lot of progress the last few years, and I want to be a part of a winning organization. So it was a natural move, and it also is it's right down the road from my house, and they're off on Sundays. So
because you drove from Mooresville to RCR for all those years, and then
No.
Well, I did live up there for a period.
Oh,
of
that's
time.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. Sorry.
And then we jumped down here,
Okay.
and then just so happens we're like 5 miles from Junior Motorsports.
Even better.
Right.
A quick
Turns
ride.
out.
Perfect. So going there, and Noah Gregson, he is not going to be boring.
No,
Not
he
boring
is.
at all.
He is exciting definition of the word. Good kid. Definitely. Anybody that watched the Xfinity series last year or the last couple years
Sure.
saw him making waves on a weekly basis, and I think that I want to be a part of his continuous progression. He's got tons of raw talent. He's on the gas. He's making moves and occasionally stepping across the edge, but he's definitely riding on it when he's not across it.
So a question. You've seen his energy. He's kind of out there. He kind of lets it all hang out. Is that something you're going to nurture or kind of
We'll just try to harness it.
harness it into the right
Just
direction
keep
to
a
be
light
productive?
tug on the bridles. You know what I mean?
Right.
To be productive, yeah.
That's right.
All right, got it. And that makes total sense. All right.
You got to let the horse go when it wants to
That's
go.
right. You gotta let it
I'll when I talked to you the other day and you told me about this, I said, well, you got to come on the show and announce it. You go, yeah. And I said, boy, from a PR standpoint, if I was doing that deal, I'd have so much fun with the both of you. It's like, all right, like, yep, no, you're kind of screwed up there, but the spin doctor, the whole crisis management. Oh, I love that.
And did you get the standard? How come you guys ain't asked me yet?
I
Did
did.
you get
I
that
did.
yet?
That's what he said.
And it's like,
I did. I've been actually pretty offended. I thought we were better friends than this.
I thought you lived up there this whole
Oh
time.
yeah, that's a great excuse back then.
Well,
I ran into you at Costco a year ago.
You did?
Yeah, you turned
I forgot.
you turned the other way. Yeah,
Yeah, because Costco. Yeah, I'm so
we
curious.
had masks on.
Yeah, all right, nice mask.
Yes, you'd never
All right.
know it was me. You'd
All right.
hear me though.
Okay, here's the end result. You're here now, right?
I'm
Right,
here
We're
now.
very happy.
Yeah.
Very good. And I'm very glad you're announcing. Oh, you announced it earlier. your first live interview. Is this it?
Yeah, this is it. This is it.
See,
Well,
we-
TV.
Exclusive.
There's been a couple radio pieces.
Okay.
All right, fine. But this is the first.
So it's been on XM.
That's
already.
right. Yeah.
People can look at you and
Yeah,
say,
they
"Hey."
know I have a beard instead of the pictures that came out that showed me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he walks in and he's got his Junior Motorsports jacket, and I go, "That didn't take
Yeah,
long."
right.
You're all swagged up there.
Yeah, well, it snowed
All
yesterday.
right.
You're that
True
right size too. It's
Exactly,
probably a large.
yes.
We got plenty of large. We have no smalls. We
Mediums.
have no double X's.
All right, so let's go back. How did you get involved in racing? Because we posted a few pictures of you as a youth. I guess is that your dad with you on the go-kart?
Yep.
And then the open wheel. And so, how did you get your start in the whole thing?
So it started just with my dad taking me to racetracks when I
Right.
was a kid. My dad's always been into racing. He worked on some cars when he was in his teenage years, and so he was a race fan. And we would go to racetracks, local dirt tracks, modified tracks, and
Which ones?
We'd go to Caraway, North Wilkesboro, Bowman Gray a lot.
So you're
So
a
you're
native.
North Carolinian.
Yeah, I'm a North Carolinian, Mayberry.
Mayberry.
Mount Airy,
Oh,
North
wow.
Carolina.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's right.
Is this part where I say you don't sound it?
Well, I have to make adjustments.
Okay,
for
got
other
it. Yep,
folks.
I got it. All right, that's fine.
So yeah, we'd go to Martinsville, all the little short tracks around here, and from the time I would first remember going to the racetrack, I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to work in it and wanted to race. Be a driver. So when I was early teens, my dad got me a racing go-kart. I had go-karts. I grew up on a farm, so
A lot of yard carts, right?
yard carts
Sure.
and
Three-wheelers.
four-wheelers. We
Four-wheelers?
couldn't have a three-wheeler.
No,
That was,
no, because those
It already took them all away by the time I was.
were they illegal.
They're illegal.
So I didn't have one, but I knew someone who had one, and I rode on them.
With no helmet?
Oh yeah,
Right.
and yes, they were deadly.
Yeah, you could give kids cigarettes before you give them three-wheelers.
Yeah,
When I was a kid.
right. And lawn jars.
Just start to ready, everybody run!
Right.
No, seriously, no three-wheelers. But,
Okay.
but yeah, I grew up with playing on anything that had a wheel and a motor.
Right.
And so naturally I wanted to race, and my dad got me a go-kart, and we went racing when I started when I was like 13-ish.
Okay.
And we went and we started. The first racetrack I ever raced at was Bear Creek Speedway, which they've reconfigured it a couple times. They still race up there. It's like north of Moxville, kind of.
Okay.
And it was just, it would always draw a really big crowd, but
Right.
it was just kind of a country racetrack. And we went out and started racing, and me and my dad were just trying to learn the ropes, learn how to work on a go-kart. And I think we ended up, like our fourth week, we ended up winning the heat race. And we were like, all right, this is going pretty well.
Right.
And then one thing led to another. We started having fun. We won a bunch of races and won
Very
the
good.
championship. And then just one thing led to another. We just kept doing it. So that led to, where do I go next? And
Right.
so I I liked math and stuff, so I felt like my dad's an engineer. He's a civil engineer.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah. So so his civil engineering background made me think that I wanted to go the engineering route. And at that time, it wasn't as prevalent in stock car racing to have
Right.
engineering, but
It was just coming in.
anybody I would talk to was like,
Yeah.
"Man, learn how to be an engineer and run a computer, and you can work on race cars." I was like, all right. So Bobby Hutchins, I can remember running into him at a race at Caraway. He was driving, and I had Frank Fleming was if you know Frank Fleming that races modifieds, so he's a big modified guy around here.
Yep.
And he lived close to me, and I would go help him. And I said, Frank, I want to work at NASCAR one day. So he said, well, Bobby was racing here. I'll take you and introduce you to him. So he took me and introduced me to Bobby Hutchins one day, and I asked Bobby. I said,
Was Bobby already working at RCR? At
Bobby
the time?
was already there. I think Bobby had already crew chiefed a bit, and then he was like now like head engineer
At
and
RCR?
He'd already moved into that engineering role. And so Bobby was like, he's like, well, all I can tell you is you need to go get your engineering degree, and you need to figure out how to be good on computers. And I was like, okay, got it. So
And you're how old about right
I'm
now?
probably 16-ish.
Okay,
15
so
to
you're still in
16.
high school.
Still in high school.
But you're planning for your future.
Planning for my future.
Very
so
nice.
so then that gave me a little bit of motivation to study
Right.
hardware
Good.
physics
Right.
and calculus and
Mhm.
stuff. And then kept racing while I was in high school. And then when I was looking at schools, my dad went to state, so state was a natural choice. But we looked around.
North Carolina State?
Yeah, NC
NC
State.
State.
Yeah. Well, if you're from
Well,
North Carolina,
for
there is
people-
only one
well,
state.
There's
Oh,
people in
sorry.
Buffalo, Wisconsin, Florida, Las Vegas watching. So,
Okay,
they
okay.
went to Buff State, Wisconsin
Yeah.
State, okay, good. Florida State, okay. Just
So
wanna-
North Carolina State University, home of the Wolfpack.
Right.
We looked around, and they actually had a really strong motorsports program, or at least it appeared that way when I was looking around for it. And we went down and went to tour the facility, and I was like, man, this is great. And at the time they had Legends cars
Okay.
and this Formula SAE program, which was kind of getting going, but not really fully developed yet. And so I went there and went there with the intention of being a part of any racing I could.
Right.
And so the first year there, I got in kind of connected with the Legends guys before I graduated. Like my senior year, we would go to where they were racing the Legends car. So Scott Brewer was one of the guys that was already there, and he was one of the drivers and involved in the Legends program, and a couple other guys that Christian McCauley. There were a few other guys that were there, and I got to know those guys really well
Mhm.
before I even went to school. So when it was a month before I was supposed to start school, I went on to Raleigh and started working on the Legends cars, and actually got to start racing and driving and playing with those cars like right as I got there. And then that whole thing lasted about a year and a half while I was there, and then the university kind of pulled
Shut it down.
Yeah, they really shut it down, but they stopped supporting it at all.
So was Brewer going to NC State at the time too?
Brewer was going to NC State right up until the time I got there, and then
Okay.
he transferred to Charlotte after
Okay.
that.
So the running
Scott
joke.
Brewer we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
The running joke at RCR, was the NC State Mafia. Because there was
Brewer, yeah.
there was a lot of the engineers,
Okay, yeah.
a lot of the guys who were race engineers, when I first got there, before you were a
Yeah.
chief even, and then other people they hired, Dr. Eric Warren was there, and I don't know, did Sparks didn't go to NC
Sparks was Charlotte.
He was Charlotte.
He
but-
blended in well.
Yeah, I mean, but there was
Yeah,
NC.
we had him on with Corey. They both came one
Yeah.
night. That was an interesting night.
I'm sure.
That was a 2-bucket night. Just so you know.
There was an NC State Mafia,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So you're at what point? So what was your
Did
first?
you ever know we called you that?
I'm sure. Yeah.
What? So what was your first job in like NASCAR side of it when you
So
went to school and all that?
when I skipping ahead a little bit, because while I was at state, what really got me, I think, taught me more about racing than anything else was the Formula SAE program.
Yeah.
And so
What was that?
Formula
Formula
SAE.
S.A.
What?
Formula
explain it?
SAE. So it's Society of Automotive Engineers
Right.
is the organization that
Thank you.
hosts it, and it's a formula race, so they call it Formula SAE.
Thank you.
And it's a national series, or
Okay.
sorry, international series
Right.
that competes. And at the time, there was really only one competition. It was in Detroit. It was every year, and there would be like 140, 150 schools from all over the world. I mean, literally, like Asia, probably almost every continent was represented, and they would come and compete, and it was a huge deal. Well, it's even kind of grown since I was there. Now they got national competitions that are kind of all over because it just got so full. But the premise of the whole thing is that they have very kind of open rules as racing goes. You're allowed to run. When I was there, you could have a 600cc engine with a 20 millimeter restrictor, and that all the air had to go through.
Right.
You could run turbos,
Right.
but the turbo had to be behind the restrictor. You couldn't push through it. And then they had just general size rules, like
Wheelbases and wheel widths.
Not even that. Like, can't be any bigger than this. And that was it.
So they had a box.
Yeah.
That they said this 4x6
fit in.
box.
Yeah, and so these things would come and they would look completely different.
Right.
And probably the coolest thing about it is you could do anything. You could build a traction control system. You could put
Sure.
wings on it. You could do anything.
Yeah.
But there was no minimum weight rule. So you would want to do a lot of cool things to the car, but then you could just get to the point where you're packing a bunch of weight onto it.
Where it gets too
and
heavy.
there's basically no other racing series that I'm aware of that's that big that has no minimum weight.
So here's what I know about it. It's all engineering schools. It's all engineering
Yes.
students
Yes.
that are building an open wheel car. And I believe you guys run on a closed course.
Yes.
That's a solo.
It's kind of like it's kind of like an autocross.
It's kind of like
type
a
deal.
SEC autocross.
Yep.
And there's a horsepower limit. Did they limit you on tire size?
So there's tire size limits, but there might as well not be. I mean, it's
Okay.
it's so open. The problem we had when I raced there is finding a manufacturer that made exactly the right tire. Which while I was there, we got a sponsorship partnership with Goodyear,
Okay.
and we helped them develop a better tire
Yeah.
because Hoosier actually had everything really kind of under control.
Were you guys at the point? Anybody in your? Were you soaking them or trying to make them sticky or?
We
you know what I mean?
we
'Cause
didn't-
we know all we know is NASCAR guys is a cheat.
So we did a
Push the
little bit
rules,
of that,
push it.
but actually because we were partnered with Goodyear, we were really just focused on trying to develop a better tire. Because they were building any tire we wanted, and we went and did track tests in Akron, probably 4 or 5 a year. We'd go up to Akron.
Not Akron, New York, for all you people
Akron,
listening.
Ohio.
Akron, Ohio.
That's right.
Because I'm from Akron, New York. There's a bunch of people.
Thanks for clarifying.
Well, for their
I'm from
sake.
Mount Airy, so I think everything's
from,
just
from
really
their sake.
circular.
They're like, "Oh, where do you go? Like Russell Park?" No, sorry, not there. Go ahead.
So the they had a track they'd set up, and then they'd bring all sorts of tire compounds that they were building for us, and it was really neat experience working with their R&D engineers
And their engineers.
and doing a real tire test. And so they picked us and a handful of other schools because we always had really good cars that were dependable, and they knew they could bring to a test and run all day.
Right.
And so we developed tires, and long story short, this whole thing was we didn't spend as much time actually running and racing the car that you would if you were to campaign in a midget series
For a
or something,
season.
for a season.
Yeah.
But we built every single thing on the car. We every chassis tube we cut in a mill, fish mouth, welded it all together. We built our own carbon fiber chassis, designed it, cut the molds, built the whole thing.
So as engineers, you were also in that program. You had to be fabricators.
Oh, you had to learn. You had to do everything
Right.
hands on, and so we hand built every piece of these things, and it would take an entire year to do it and get a short little amount of testing on it before you took it to competition. But in doing that, you meet all kinds of people in the industry, and the biggest thing that we had to do is we had to figure out how to come up with some support and money or use of facilities to complete it. And so we'd be cold calling people in the industry and saying, hey, we got this car, we're trying to build it, we need some support.
So people in the racing industry.
So people in the racing industry. So
Who was your call?
we got a lot of help from this company that was in Greensboro at the time called Envision, and they were really big in racing. And unfortunately, the owner passed not long ago, and the company kind of was gone.
It seems like I've heard that name.
So that company Envision, they used to cut all the molds for like the wind tunnel stuff,
Okay.
and like all the scale model cars
Yeah.
were built by this Envision company.
Yeah.
So I got to know Jim Giles, the guy that was the president of that place.
So before 3D printing.
Yes,
Right.
yeah, it was
Because
all ring shaped foam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to get ahead, so you took all this experience and the connections, and that's where you put that into your first NASCAR job.
Yep. And so like when it was time to graduate, I kind of made all these connections, and
Mhm.
basically I was calling those people I already knew and saying, okay, I've graduated, and then there were a handful of opportunities that kind of came about.
Right.
And I knew a lot of people at RCR, so
Yeah.
that was the fit that felt the best. Noah McKay was
Because you went to school at
going
Noah.
to school, and
Noah McKay was taught. So
Yeah.
who is he?
Noah McKay was in charge of their aero program
Got it.
when I was there and Luke was there. And he has since moved on, but he's a great guy, just an aero guy. And
So you actually, I just hit me. You're like one of the rare people that use their college experience and education and connections to get a job in the sport.
that's it.
Most
as
people-
an engineer.
As an engineer, so most people go through the short tracks. I worked on a late model. I worked on his modified. I
Right.
worked on, and then I met these people, and they said, "Come on down," and they lived in couches, campers, whatever. So you were able to take.
Well,
So you need, that's a totally different approach.
It is, but I will say this: like our Formula SA approach was the same as living on couches, racing at night. Like
Okay,
Right.
we did
Right.
we did what we did with the Formula SA team in spite of the university, not because of the
Oh, okay.
university.
Got it.
I mean, we kind of had to beg, steal, and borrow to complete everything that we did.
So your first job in NASCAR was
Working at RCR
as
as a junior engineer, just doing whatever.
Did you intern or did you get a full
I
time
got
job?
a full time job.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I started, and at that time, nobody really knew what to do with an engineer in the sport.
Right.
Other
What year was that?
That was 2005.
Okay.
So, we would be one day measuring cars. A lot of what we did was data systems, installing
Got it.
the data systems on the cars. Go to
Right.
For tests.
For tests.
Got it.
Pi systems, and measuring cars, running the 7-post.
So where did the progression go for you?
So from the time I went to
You
work
went from
there,
junior engineer to crew chief. There's got to be something happening in between.
so I wanted to go to the racetrack and work
Sure.
with
Everybody
race cars. And particularly after driving and actually racing.
Right.
And when I was younger, that's really where I wanted to be. And so I did everything I could to try to get a spot as a traveling engineer.
Right.
And my first spot traveling was second engineer on the 31 with Jeff Burton.
Mhm.
And Scott Miller was the crew chief at the
On
time.
the 31 Cup.
Scott Miller.
So you
Yep.
you didn't have to stop in.
Right.
It was Xfinity or it was Bush at the time, I think. But you didn't have to stop. You went right from junior engineer right to Cup.
Pretty much, because what like when I was
Right.
a data guy, I was
Yeah.
working on the 29 with Harvick. Todd Barrier was
Okay.
the crew chief. So I was going to the track with the Cup guys, but only for tests.
Right.
You used to test a
Right.
lot, right? So
Yep.
you'd be there frequently. Well, then they needed a junior engineer to fill a role, and fortunately, I got the tap to do that. And Jeff Curtis,
Yep.
Jazzy, was the lead
Jazzy,
engineer,
yep.
and he was way ahead of his time. Like he had written his own sim,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
really done a
He was
lot.
so out there. He was so far ahead, and I realized years later that I thought he was like out there another way.
Yeah.
But he was.
He
actually,
was a little, but he still. That's what made him.
Right.
somewhat-
Exactly. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
what made him good.
So Scott Miller. So people that are new to the sport, Scott Miller is now the director of
competition
competition for NASCAR.
Yeah.
So he went from there. So you guys have a good bond.
So
obviously,
what
yeah.
year was that? You went to work for Scott.
That was I think the first year that it was 2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think I got there in 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So when
But
did
I think you were already his head engineer by
Right.
then.
Yeah.
Because you were still with the 31 when I got there.
Yeah, and then I did that for a while, and then a couple little things happened, but basically I ended up with Todd Barrier
Okay.
on the 31 with Burton, was and Aaron Johnston
Right.
we
At
were
RCR, yeah.
at RCR, and so
Because the first year that your first year as a crew chief, it shows 17 races. So at some point during
that was in the middle of the season.
right.
Yeah.
When you got the call to say, "Hey, you want to be the crew chief?" What was your first
So
thought?
You're going too fast.
Oh, sorry.
Because I have another question to ask him. That's kind of personal between me and him, but
Can
So-
these people hear it?
yes,
Okay, just wanna make
absolutely. Because it's about the tandem draft,
Holy crap! All right.
and the tandem draft.
Yes.
We were at a test together when this took place.
Yep.
And I believe Burton and Kenseth figured it out. It was Burton and someone else.
Real quick, in the sport, tandem draft is when
It's
the
when
old
they
draft.
used to lock together.
Right, the old draft was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars,
Right.
and then it discovered that 2's better than 10.
So what happened that caused that is they changed the arrow rules.
I remember you would remember this. That's
they
what
put,
I'm
they
asking.
put a big spoiler.
Yes.
They put a big spoiler on them,
Right.
and I think it was actually the first tail flange they put on them.
Yes.
And as soon as they did that, there was a weird pocket behind the car.
The
Which
no,
if you could
no
ever
wake.
if you could ever get
Once
behind
you
it,
could get to the guy.
you'd lock up, and the cars would run. It was like you had two motors in the car. They would run like half a second faster. And the only problem was they'd lock up, and the guy in the back would overheat.
Start to get
Because
hot.
That was the
Air.
only
Because he had
problem.
no air.
That
Right.
was the
Is that so? That became when guys would they try to
And
get
they would
some
swap,
air
Yeah.
and there
out
was all
there
of that.
and
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And so that was when that first happened. It was like it happened at a test, and I remember Burton was like, "Holy cow!" And they and instantly they got apart, and they came in and we just figured something out.
I was at the test
Like-
Kind of like
because I was doing airbox stuff.
This is big.
like
This is
Junior
big.
Johnson,
Yeah.
when he discovered the draft, he was like, "I'm not telling anybody about this."
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to go back. Like,
They did kind of keep it on the down low.
that's
Yeah.
sure. All right,
Yeah.
so figure something
So
out. I
then,
got it.
so then they were like, they had to figure out, how to work on it, but not let everybody in the garage see that you're working on it.
Right.
And try to save
Now,
it.
didn't you build those air boxes?
I built the airboxes at RCR when this test was happening,
got it.
and got a lot of praise from Jeff Burton and some of our other
Sure.
guys because we were before I got there, they were struggling a little bit.
Right.
But that besides the point, I wanted to bring up the tandem because I love that racing. First of all, I thought it was great,
It was very exciting.
and that also bring about a rule of radio talk
Yeah, that's
because
right.
Yeah.
and some of our people know it and some don't, but.
Yeah.
You can talk about the radio, the
Yeah, so-
dial on the dash.
So we figured out that we were going to be working with people. Well, at the time, this whole concept having tandem and really close teammates really was a little bit of a foreign concept. The drivers wanted the flexibility to work with anybody in the field.
Right, I remember that. Yep.
So we took everybody's radios and we had them programmed to where you had a dial and the driver could see all the numbers. And if he wanted to work with the 11 car, click, 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 he could be on the 11's channel. And
they can talk to each other.
yeah, and you wanted to work with it.
What if you want to tell them to eat shit? I mean, you go to eat
You could
shit.
do it.
Okay, I'm just saying. Sorry, it's cursed. I apologize. I forgot all.
Yeah,
wow.
so we had
Remember that?
Yeah, they showed the picture of the day, and it had like all these. It was amazing.
So we had our radios, and we had all the RCR team cars, but then we had a whole bunch of other people that we were planning to
The
work
friendlies.
yeah, the friendlies.
with. Friendlies, and then
Which lasted
planned
20 laps.
all right, hey, if we work together, I want to use your spotter. That's the other thing we figured out is you couldn't have two spotters now because one spotter can spot both
For
cars.
both cars.
So that's
Right.
they would turn to the radio of the other car,
Oh my gosh.
and one of the spotters would take over
And do both cars.
and spot both
And
cars.
me like to drive the car.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, I got it.
and so that was a challenge. NASCAR wasn't happy.
Very not happy.
I still think that was the best racing
It
ever.
was some of the best races, and the strategy element was so
Yes.
interesting.
And there was less big ones.
Yeah,
Because the guys got so
Reps,
far
yeah,
apart,
Yeah.
you'd only have 4 cars in a wreck. You wouldn't have 12.
Yeah. that was.
But
good
anyways, all right, now you're going to bring up, let's get you the crew chief here.
Oh,
So the crew chief call comes in.
stuff. Yeah, so I was walking down pit lane in New Hampshire, qualifying, and Mike Dillon walks up to me.
Hey man.
Hey man.
Hey, man.
So I was, hey
Yeah, Mike
man.
Dillon, yeah.
Who are you again?
Who are you again? Hey man. Who am I again?
And he pretty much asked me if I was ready to be a crew chief. If that was an opportunity. And I was like, closed my eyes, like, yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
And but no, I bluffed. Told him I was ready for it.
Sure.
Then he walked
Why
away, and
wouldn't
I thought, what did I get myself into? And then one thing led to another, and within a week or two, I ended up taking over the 31 for the last half of the season.
All right. Quick question. It's 8:30, and you got your fan club.
Oh, I
lined
can
up.
only imagine.
It's blowing
I
up.
got it. All right, working with Jeff Burton, what was that like? I mean, here you go from an established driver, the mayor of, they call, and what was that like working with him?
It was.
Did you rely on him?
So
more than
I
he
had
relied
a
on
really
you?
good relationship with Jeff, just because at that point in time we worked together for 3 years,
Right.
or close to 3 years anyway. So I kind of had started to understand him a little bit, and I think he had developed some respect for me. So it was, and I think when he allowed me to do the opportunity, he knew I was wet behind the ears.
Right.
I think I was
So
28 years old. At
So
the
he
time.
was going to make it work for both of you.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't doing it for charity. I can
No.
promise you that.
Right.
But he was understanding that there would be growing pains and whatnot.
Sure.
So it started out okay. I mean, it wasn't like it was bad, but it definitely at the start it wasn't a huge change. But
Sure.
then we kind of got some momentum as a group by the end of the year, and by the end of that season we started really rolling in some good finishes. We had some top fives that came in.
Yeah.
And we almost won Talladega.
Yeah.
We were leading with 150 feet to go, and when Boyer passed
Your
us.
teammate passed you for the 100th. Yeah.
So we were doing the tandem deal, and we narrowly missed winning that race. So,
I remember that.
but we had some good runs there. We had a good run at Phoenix, where we were in contention to win the race.
Yeah, you had a few, I think Dover, Phoenix. There was a few.
Yeah, so we had some strong runs, and I enjoyed working with him. He's very open-minded at that point in time, as far as he wanted me to kind of bring fresh ideas, and we just had a lot of fun. So did that for six months or whatever, and then I went to the Xfinity Series for a year.
With Elliott Sadler, and you did very well there. You won 4 races, second points.
Yeah, we had a really fun year.
That had to be good for you though. Like, did that build your confidence when you went back to the top side?
it was good. I think I wanted to stay on the 31, but ultimately it was a better move for that point in my career.
And then you and Newman got together for
I came back and worked a year with Burton.
6 years.
Yeah, I worked a year with Burton when I came back in 2013. That was his last year, and then when he left and retired and moved on to TV, Newman took over in 14.
And you stayed with
Can
the
I tell you
31.
what? You brought up one of the oddest, weirdest times ever in the sport for me was sitting with Jeff Burton and Richard Childress writing the press release of what Jeff was doing. And Richard said what he had to say and he left the room. I looked up at Jeff and I said, "This makes me really sad." He goes, "I'm not digging it either." But it was just that point where like you realize that you grew up in Jeff Burton's ever 99 car and then
Because Jeff didn't want to be done.
right. But I'm sitting and I could tell. But we had to write this, and I had to write this because Richard was getting here to write this. He said his piece and walked out because he was not comfortable. And you realize that your heroes or people you look up to have their limitations in the sport. And I had to do it. And then he left. And I'm sitting there at Richard's office in the big conference table. I was like, "Damn, this sport sucks sometimes." And that was just the human factor of it.
Yeah.
So
The ups and downs
Oh,
of this deal,
yeah, I
right?
get it.
Yeah.
All right, so then you went to Newman. You guys were together for 6 years.
Yeah.
2014 was your best year.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Right.
We were decently competitive most of the season.
Yep.
We were very consistent. That was a period of time where the racing there was no stage racing. So
Right.
No, it was just go.
No stage
I remember a lot of the fun that we had was we would kind of work our way up through the field and then like hover around the top 10 and then really capitalize on late race opportunities and strategy stuff.
Right.
We took advantage of a lot of late race restarts.
Yep.
Newman would get up on the wheel, and we stole a lot of points at the end of those races and really kept our season going strong from benefiting from like really making big moves late in the race.
Right, and I'll say it like this, I was still there, and unfortunately we didn't have the best cars, and you guys would take advantage of what you had to do with those cars, and it was those were good times.
Yeah, it was fun, and we were racing against. It was
Because you'd play it like you had nothing to lose. We were like, what?
yeah,
What do you do?
yeah.
No tires or 2 tires or, and then boom, next thing you know, they get a top 5.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you could do that
Right.
in that
And there was
era.
there was no stage point, so
Right.
if we ran 15th all day, nobody, it didn't matter.
Didn't
On
matter.
paper, you finished
Right.
5th.
And I'm going to say this: 2014 Homestead, that race. If those 2 idiots don't rack at the end, that championship is yours.
Yeah, that
That
was
championship is yours. That caution. I mean, 'cause I was staying with Richard up top, and you guys went and you made the call for 2, and it's like, this is it. And then it just didn't happen. I was like, oh my God, they're this close.
Who are those 2
Yeah,
idiots
close.
you're talking about? I think I worked for one.
I think it
No,
was.
who was it? Who?
Crush
who?
Reynolds came out of the 47.
What?
I think.
What's that?
Oh, okay.
That's what brought the caution.
Yeah, they brought the caution, and we're like, no. But
That was one of the fun things about that deal. So
yeah.
You never know who you're gonna have to work
I'm
with. Call it.
Well, no one's called me lately, so whatever. They've been called for 5 years, but go ahead.
the chase.
I'm willing to risk it.
The chase format was that was the first time they had the stages of the chase.
Right,
Yeah.
And the elimination rounds.
right.
And then that was the season where everybody got really out of hand with pit stop adjustments.
Yes.
And it all evolved in the middle of the chase. And NASCAR basically kind of took a look at it and said, look, we can't really stop it because we've been doing the chase this way.
Right.
So they kind of unofficially said, boys, have at it. Well,
Yeah.
at that point, we were like going to the tunnel and like having the pit stop guys like damage the cars and figuring out what would make
Yeah.
it faster.
So our fan base knows what Luke is saying about the pit stop adjustments. Was you'd go out there with a perfectly good race car to make your first pit stop, and the pit crew would push, pull, tug, slam something into something, hit something with a tire, bump something this way or pull that way, and make the race car better.
Yeah,
You
put
know.
like 100 pounds of downforce in it.
Right.
Right on
And
one pit stop.
yeah.
And so it moved the needle like big, more than around a wedge.
Right.
And so we like one of the interesting things that happened that I guess nobody would really know is we went to the wind tunnel with like 3 races to go, and we were like chipping our way along, and we got ourselves in a really good spot where it's like, man, we're probably going to have a good shot at making it to Homestead at the time. That was the last race of the year, and we figured out this adjustment we could make to the right rear quarter panel, and we could like rip it out and make a bunch of rear side force and down force.
Right.
Well, we had it all built in our Phoenix car, and I remember going to Phoenix, and we were like, we only needed to finish 13th, unless the 24 won.
Right.
And we were running along there, but even before that, we decided to not use that trick that we had learned, because I was like, we can probably make it through Phoenix, and if we use that trick at Phoenix, the whole garage will see it.
Then we'll never get to use it
We'll
again.
have no advantage, and we needed a bigger
Right.
arrow gain than what we had in our pocket. So we needed to save that to put us in the ball game for Homestead. So we saved it, and we made it out of Phoenix by punting the 42.
Oh, I
over the way
remember that.
in the
I mean, I
last
remember
corner.
watching it. 'Cause I didn't go.
That's right.
I remember
Yeah.
watching it. I was at a place here in Mooresville. I'm like, no. And I'm going crazy. People are like, come down. I go, no, not coming down. We're gonna make it to the championship.
Yeah.
And these people are like, he goes, he works there. And it was just, I have no qualms about it.
I think I was there.
Did
I
what
think
he
I
had
was
to
at the
do. Did
racetrack.
what I had to do, and it's like,
And
it
yeah,
was
I was like, whatever.
Even Larson, I think, understood. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Well, like he was gonna fight.
Newman Newman had to use him up.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Remember when your uncle used to hold your head?
Yeah.
You were a little kid?
So we got out of there, and then we went to Homestead, and because we made it to Homestead with that trick in the bag, we weren't great in practice. We didn't qualify very good, but first pit stop came, and we did our little trick that we had planned,
Sure.
and all of a sudden we were moving ahead
Yeah.
quickly.
Got the side force wicker
I
going.
think I remember you with a Zizwell did some of the zizzing to make it.
I know. I had a little. I helped with that. I
You had the
wasn't-
glasses down.
Yeah, I helped a little bit with that. I think Kyle Kelly was
Yeah,
involved
Kyle
in
Kelly
that.
was certainly
And
instrumental.
yeah, it was It's a really nice side force game.
Yeah, and we had Brad Robinson, the biggest pit crew guy on
Yes,
the road at the
Big
time.
Brad.
Big Brad.
And he, didn't take much for him to
Right,
Yeah.
to make it
do
happen.
some ripping.
Ready for your question?
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Here
sure.
we
Yeah.
go. All right, let's start out. Tom Beatty, our #1 fan up in New Jersey. Luke, what makes you and Junior Motorsports a great fit together to make a run for the Xfinity Series title?
Well, I think that I'm fortunate to have a lot of experience, and they have a really strong program. So, Junior Motorsports has been building a strong program for a number of years, and they've proven the consistency. And they got a good driver lineup. And Noah's a really good driver, good kid. Enjoyed getting to know him, and I've enjoyed watching him race. And I see a lot of potential in him. In the last 3 years, his finishing the points has just been moving forward in a linear direction towards the championship. So, good race team, good cars. Noah's a good driver, and I feel like I've got a lot of experience. And I finished second in the Xfinity Championship, second in the Cup Championship. So I've got one more to go.
Yeah.
I've got one more spot to get. And I think
Get your ring.
with the pieces we've got,
Yeah.
we'll be able to have a really good shot at it.
What was your first
Bass
comment?
Pro Shop gift cards.
I remember those. With Truex. What was your first conversation like with him? Did you talk to him before you took the job or after?
I was really close to taking the job. He had been out of town. He came back in town, and we met, went and had lunch at Field of Greens,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay,
and
yeah.
sat around over a sandwich and talked about it. And I could just tell he was excited. And,
Good.
And he wants to have fun and be competitive, and I think that's how I want us to compete. So
Perfect. I'm just curious how those first conversations always go.
yeah.
Dan Lynch, it's 8:30. Luke, who was your favorite tire guy? Be honest.
No, I work with Lynch now. I didn't even
man.
know he did tires for you.
I mean, I'm always going to have a soft spot in my heart for James Bender.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bender's in here. He's got some questions.
I'm pretty sure I know
Oh, sure,
what
yeah.
he's saying.
Right. You knew these guys were going to start to get on you.
Hey, that's all right. We got it.
Yeah. No, we worked together for a really long time. So I would say he's towards the top of the list.
Bender. You should just say Tuesday.
Tuesday.
There we go. What was Bender? Bender had a great quote. Where was it? Oh, Dan Lynch. What size drill bit you got, Bender? So there's a story behind that, I'm sure.
We ain't bringing any of them
All
up.
right, I'm just telling what they're saying here. All right. All right, here we go. Bob Fetzer. Any plans for the next gen car in Xfinity that you know of?
I think that everything's pretty much locked in for 2 or 3 years there
Yeah, yeah.
now. I think they're gonna
Develop. Yeah.
develop. Obviously, got some growing pains.
Right.
Got to get the
Yeah, growing pains,
supply chain sorted out.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it comes to-
Just shit and tanker trucks. And
So once they get it all sorted out, Cup, I'm sure there'll be some
Mhm.
discussion. But right now, the product in Xfinity is really good. The Xfinity cars already have the composite bodies.
Yes.
They're very economical to assemble.
They're
because of
they're
the
well established for
Yeah.
what they have. Leave them alone right now.
cars can beat and bang. They put
Yeah.
on great races. So
You
I
don't,
think
you
I
don't
see
need a fleet of them.
Right.
I see them running those for 3 or 4 more years,
Right.
and then
I think Bender had remorse.
and then going.
Bender says, which I've never seen in almost 2 years of doing this show, he says, let it go. And then he goes, we're all family here. This is Bender. Are you kidding me, Bender? Really? He refuses to come on the show. But he'll sit
He
there
was
and
on. He don't.
Bender.
Jim Bender.
Oh,
Was,
Bender. Oh, you want
he
Bender
was
on.
on.
Kyle Kelly refused to come on. Sorry.
Right.
Bender came on. He was good.
When's
Uh,
Okie Dokie coming on? I want to be a part of
Oh
that.
my
Oh my
God,
God!
there's
You
one.
got to get that.
You know what? We have some. We're coming up. Like your show 91. We're 9 away from a 100 show. We need to have like someone awesome on the 100
Yeah.
show. I mean, someone
real
like
old
legendary.
timer like that.
Legendary.
A lot
Okie
better- a lot better
dokie.
than me.
No.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
just
yeah.
saying
A
this
lot
is
better
great.
than
No,
91
but
guy.
even
Yeah,
a
I got
100 show, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I got
No,
it.
I got that.
It's pretty clear.
No, stop. You know what I'm saying? You kidding me? You know, it's like, yeah, because like we do a
Just
poll. or something.
with field fillers until you get to
You are
100.
not field fillers. Trust me. You're the first one of the year. We praise that all up. Okay, Richard Coleman. What kind of chances do you think the Braves have in the spring at
Oh.
Lake Norman League?
This is
What's
good
this all about?
stuff right here. This
Okay,
is big stuff.
sure,
This
all
is
right.
big stuff. We
All
got
right, lay it on us.
so last year
Yeah.
the Lakeshore Braves
Baseball.
coach pitched 10 and under league.
Right.
Okay.
Coach pitched. Okay.
No, sorry, kid pitch. Kid pitch.
Kid
10
pitch.
and
Okay.
under.
Yeah.
My sons, I got 2 sons.
Yeah.
8 and 9 last year. One's 10 now.
Okay.
And he has a son that was on the team.
Got it.
We made a heck of a run at the championship. We barely lost in the championship game. We were one of the top schools, and so we've got a lot of returning players. A lot of guys hadn't crossed the 10-year-old mark.
Perfect.
And we're poised for a really, really strong season. With
All
the
right,
actual
nice.
games. So stay tuned.
That's awesome.
Okay.
And I had to take an Xfinity job to be at all of them.
You chose to. You chose to.
Yeah.
Scott Daniels says, "What's up, guys? What's up, Scott?"
Hey, Scott.
Howdy.
Bender says nobody would be sober. That's good. So there's one thing I want to ask you. We talked about it when I ran into you. This Xfinity, your kids are now what ages?
5, 8, and 10.
Got it. And your wife is amazingly beautiful, and you all kicked your coverage. But I'm sure
No
I'm not
doubt.
the first person to tell you that. What's this mean for you on a family side? Because you said your kids are more involved in doing more besides crawling and spinning up and crap.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're like
Yeah,
doing
And the
kid stuff.
10,000
Yeah.
piece Lego set together at Christmas.
They
Right,
are doing
exactly,
that.
yeah.
They are doing that. Now they're taking them apart and putting motors in them to turn them into RC cars.
Nice.
Yeah, that's going on today.
So
Yeah.
what was part of this Xfinity, like, what was attractive to you from a family standpoint?
So from a family
Yeah,
standpoint,
this is important. I want you guys to hear this.
This job's demanding. Everybody that works
Sure,
in it understands that more than anybody, and but it's also something that we all love, and we all like to compete, and we all want to win races, and none of us want to pack it up and not be a part of it. But
Right.
for me, this was an opportunity to kind of get both satisfied.
Absolutely.
And so I really feel like it's right for me right now. I don't know that it's going to be what I want for my whole rest of my career, but for right now, it's perfect. And my kids are at this age where I just watch them grow.
How old are you now, Luke?
39.
39, so you're just
39.
40, so you got a ways to go.
Yeah. And so
You're going to outlast a lot of drivers. I say it like that.
No,
Trust
exactly,
me.
yeah. Trust me.
Yeah, so my kids are they're into riding dirt bikes and
Yeah.
four-wheelers and
And you want to be part of that.
fishing.
You don't want pictures.
Yeah.
You
Really
don't want to
badass
FaceTime them.
treehouse they got in the backyard.
Yeah, that's good.
Building tree houses,
Very
clearing
good.
land so they can ride their stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I'm into right now.
I got a qu- How'd you meet your wife?
Okay, so we're in 10th grade English class.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
I'm sitting in class. This new girl walks in, and Mount Airy High School, by the way.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
This new
There's
girl
Tenny
walks
in
in
there.
with this really screwed up haircut. I've never seen anything like this before.
Right.
Yellow shirt, black pants,
Wow.
and I was like, wow, I've never seen anything like that before in Mount Airy, North Carolina.
Right?
And I was like, that's the girl I want to really get to know. And so then it took a couple years.
Sure.
Finally, by the time we were in seniors, I tricked her into going out with me.
So you're high school sweethearts.
High school sweethearts.
Holy crap, that's the American story right there.
And is she,
Never knew that.
was she from North Carolina?
No, so she was kind of from all over. Her parents were in the military.
Okay.
She was born in Kansas or Colorado, moved to Kansas, then
Yeah.
moved to Tallahassee, and then her family moved to North Carolina when we were in high school. So I was in first period class her first day at Mount Airy High School.
Right.
So all these years she's been with you through the whole
So yeah,
everything.
Yeah,
The whole, wow.
we've
good.
been able to stay together. No, it's great. She's my best friend, and
Obviously.
she puts up with a lot.
Obviously.
They all do.
Yeah.
That's right.
Coleman says, I hope they let me back in the ballpark next year.
Yeah, we do have a little temporary suspension for some.
Verbal.
Well, there had to be some cleaning up of some ref misbehavior.
Okay, got it.
Richard handled, and the
Okay.
ref didn't agree.
Okay.
Richard
Oh,
had to leave.
oh,
He did?
Wow, seriously?
He gets verbal with me once in a while. Is that our guy?
Tom Beatty says, what? Warren and Tim don't remember 10th grade. Hey, shut up, Tom. It was the best 3 years of my life, okay?
I do. 10th grade.
10th grade, you remember 10th grade? Never mind. Next question.
Yeah, I just got out of the joint.
Wow. You missed the tension right in jail. All right, we got more questions. Bring them on. The one thing I ask you is that you have been, like, you took a really different route than a lot of people do. You did the college, you did the building of the car in college, you learned all that, and then you went right to a team. And in that same team, you moved yourself up. And that's, like, really unheard of. Because other guys, like we said, like, modified, late model, they knew people.
Yeah.
So I'll say it like this: the engineers that we've had,
As engineers, right? Yep.
you know, like him and Sparky, him and Ryan Sparks, they take that educated route.
Right.
The other guys, like myself and you have taken the uneducated route where you work your way up, they get smart and they jump their way up. I'll say.
No,
and that's fine. I don't.
Right.
To me, it's. I respect you just as much as I respect anybody else who's been in the sport. So you did it your way. Some guys do it theirs, but yeah, Tim, you're right. I mean, because there's guys that I work with now at Penske, like Michael Nelson, who kind of runs the NASCAR side of Penske. And when I started at Penske Crenifus, he was an intern and stayed with them, for forever, for 25 years now, and now he's running the place, and that's just the path he took. And a lot of respect for them guys, because it takes a lot to get an education.
Yeah.
I know it. I'm watching my kids do it. It takes a lot to do that. It takes a lot of hard work. It doesn't take any less work to get an education than it does to be a hard worker. So
everybody that gets here has paid a lot of dues. That's
it's in one way or another.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I started out, my first job in racing was cooking the concession stand at Lancaster Speedway, flipping burgers with the announcer and the track president. You worked with building pit boxes.
Yeah, sweeping floors, whatever.
You came in as a junior engineer, and I mean, we pay our dues. No one just shows and goes, "I'm here." Even on the driver's side.
Absolutely.
Bender says that commute is looking good now, Luke. Yeah, 5 miles.
5 miles.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can
Very
do
good.
it on a bike, except for the traffic.
I have a question.
Yeah, you'll get killed out there.
No. So did you meet the team? Did you meet everybody on there?
Yeah, I've met everybody.
How many of you know him beforehand? Which is a question, because here's a new crew
Did you get hired by Kelly or Dale Jr.?
Pemberton.
Well, actually, Pemberton's who I met with.
Okay.
And then
You have to be interviewed by the other.
I already knew Kelly.
Okay.
And I kind of knew LW. I knew him from.
He's involved. Eldon Miller, which is Kelly's husband.
Yeah. So I knew them from racing at Millbridge with my kids. So and then also kind of through Newman, just in some different settings, but mostly from being around them while we were racing at Millbridge and then seeing them at the track. So didn't really have any interviews there, but Ryan. When I met with Ryan
Ryan Pemberton.
And checked out the shop, I was like, man, this is it's really just seemed like a good fit. So
A very top of the line organization.
yeah,
Obviously.
yeah.
Well, they all have that, and they do what they do, and there's
Right.
a Hendrick influence coming down too. So that
yeah,
always
for
helps.
sure.
Anybody have any questions? This is the time to get them. So here's what are your goals for this year? Xfinity, new driver.
I'd be
different
lying
team?
to say if I said our goal is to win the championship.
Absolutely.
Make it. Go for
I
it.
knew
Why
you were
wouldn't
gonna
you?
say-
Why wouldn't you?
why- yeah.
Go for it.
That it's I've kind of laid it all out and looked at it. The biggest challenge probably for any of the teams that are title contenders is going to be getting through the first round of the playoffs at the round of 12 is going to be really tough.
Yeah.
Because the races that are in that round, you got Talladega in there, you got the Roval in there, so it's that's going to be the hardest.
You got some unknowns there.
That's going to be the hardest round to navigate through. So you can't. It's not like you can go through all the season and point your way ahead to a comfortable victory. So we got our work cut out for us, but looking at what that team has done and the progress that the organization's made, and the personal progression that Noah's made, I think that we certainly have potential to do that. But we got to start by winning some races, and building our own little history this year.
And consistency is like the number one.
Yeah.
If you can stay in the top 10s, top 5s, that's all going to add up. And
Yeah.
the wins are nice.
He learned that pretty early in his career.
Okay.
Well, being consistent pays off.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly. Got to stack the pennies.
As a crew chief, and you've dealt with Ryan Newman, Busher,
Jeff Burton,
Hemrick,
Elliott Sadler,
Newman,
your favorite.
where is it where you decide it's time to push back? And I'm going to say this because we've heard you on the radio, and it's not a bad thing, but at some point a crew chief has to tell the driver, you have to push back. When do you know it's time? Is it something that builds up?
I think it's
This is a sincere question.
No, it's a great question. I think that for me, the time to push back with the driver is when it actually has the ability to positively influence the result.
Yeah.
I think you can. First thing you got to realize. Somebody told me this once when I first started working in racing. And I was like, at the cup level, and talking about the drivers just losing their mind on the
Right.
radio.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is ridiculous. And what this person told me is they said, you got to remember one thing. You're sitting there, you're all comfortable, you're at your desk, you got your headphones
I know where
on,
you're
your
going with
computer. And he's out there like white knuckling it,
Right.
running 200 miles an hour,
Hotter than hell.
fighting for his life.
His adrenaline is through the roof.
Adrenaline is through the roof.
Aggravated.
And he's like trying to make something happen. They can't figure out how to make it happen
Right.
and try not to die. Like, so you got to recognize, like,
So I'm not laughing at that.
The-
I've never heard
True
that before.
story.
I've never
I never heard
it
the trying not to die one.
but
I'm
that's
sorry.
that's the
what I'm laughing
difference.
when you
And
say
Right.
that.
so like, as tense and stressful it is for you on the pit box, that's what that guy's going through. So
Yeah.
you got to kind of recognize
Right.
that, it's not like you're talking to your buddy on the telephone and he's
Right.
yelling at you.
Hey man,
And
we're
so
on your pizza.
So yeah, you can get at each other, and at the end of the day, I think most of the time that's counterproductive, and it actually ends up just distracting you from accomplishing what you got to do to execute. So for me as a crew chief, my philosophy is it's my job, or in my view, that my job is to keep the situation under control, figure out what's actionable, figure out how to get the team to act on it,
Right.
and how to get the information from the driver that we can process, and how to keep him at his peak potential. So
Said like a true engineer.
if you need to rip his ass,
Right.
there's a time for that, right? And there's certain guys that works better for. But there's other times when it's better to,
Take
let,
that beating.
Let them tell you what they think. Let
Yeah.
them speak their mind. Let them get it off their chest. Tell them what you're going to do to work on it. Go to work on it, and let them get back to work.
Go ahead.
Funniest thing I ever heard on the radio
Uh,
while you were crew chief. Pocono. I'll let someone else say.
Who's the
Driver's saying
Who's
this.
the driver?
This thing runs down the straightaway like a vacuum cleaner with a full bag.
I do remember
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Ryan Newman.
Ryan Newman. It sounds like a Newmanism.
It's like
Yeah.
the engine guy's going like
that. Vacuum cleaner with a full
with
bag.
a full bag.
And your response to that is?
Probably
All right,
10-4.
bring it to us. We'll check it out.
What do you say to that?
You-
All right, we'll clean out that bag.
Yeah.
Bring,
You know?
bring that Eureka down here. Well, yeah.
Is that a shop vac or a craftsman?
I
Or?
mean, and you seem like you're a very level-headed person. You don't seem like you flip out too much, but it takes I've known you for years. It takes a little bit to poke you to the point, and we've heard it. And the worst part is when you do fight back or do say, "Hey, shut up," we all hear it. It's not like it's a private conversation in the holler.
Yeah.
Everybody hears it and they go, "Oh, what's going on?" But afterwards is the key part. And what is your goal afterwards when you have those?
Yeah, when you have those moments, I mean, you just gotta
Sure.
come together and have a little sit down round
Sure.
table discussion with
Right.
you and the driver, or you and whoever else might have been involved.
Right,
And
well,
talk it out, right? Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if everything's functioning the way it's supposed to, we're all
Right.
trying to
do this.
get
Win.
the best victory,
Right.
get the best result, win whatever it is. And so when things aren't going your way, the worst thing you can do is get frustrated with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And even when you get frustrated and vent it towards each other, talking about it at the end is what you got to do to kind
Yeah.
of get through it.
Make it positive
That's right.
eventually.
And I just thought that with you having your cup experience and Noah is Xfinity and now you guys were, I think if you were to tell him or say something to him, he might go, okay, like you could probably have more of an influence on him than, I don't mean it's a bad way, than you could on Newman or Burton because your experience level versus his.
Yeah, I mean, younger guys are definitely going to be more moldable for sure.
Yeah. More respect.
Here's Bender. Steering wheel sucks, on off, switch sucks, tires suck, motor sucks. Heard that before?
Yeah, that's one of our favorite drivers. We won't name his name.
That's
We
awesome.
don't have to name the
No, I
driver.
have to name him. That's good. Love it. Bender. Well, I'll tell you something. First of all, I sincerely appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Really, really
thanks,
mean
guys.
that.
I
And
appreciate it.
that you made your announcements today and you're here with us is
Yeah.
great. And we've known you for a while. And I wish you continued success. And I was a Noah Gregson fan before, now more so because I want to see what you guys are going to do this year.
Awesome.
All right?
Awesome.
I don't have a dog in the fight anymore, so I can
I'm
go
glad
for
to be
it.
one of those field fillers to get you to 100.
Oh, stop it. Jeez. You just say we're coming on 100. I didn't mean that in a bad way. But I'm talking like.
Are you happy to be back with Chevrolet?
Yes.
Yes,
I am.
it's good.
Bow
Sure.
tie. Just feels racy.
Right. Shall we say it?
We can say it.
Hey, thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Good night, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
Good night, Dick. Have a good one. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Wow. Hey, another great show.
Great
Thank
show.
you so much, everybody,
Yep.
for tuning
Enjoyed
in.
it.
We appreciate it. We do this every Tuesday night. And Warren, I think the guests we've had have been fantastic.
Phenomenal.
And the people that are following us, we appreciate it. We're reaching 42,000 people a month. Can you believe that? And we appreciate you watching. And
Right. We're having fun. Hope everybody else enjoys it.
that's it. And it's just a fun show. Bucket of beer, guys sitting around talking about it. So keep tuning in. We appreciate it. Check out our store and everything. But we appreciate you people, and we will see you next week. Right, my friend?
Yes, sir.
All right. See you next week.